Hello everyone and welcome back once again to DCS and to another Mi-24 Hind tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a more in-depth look at the air-to-ground gun configurations for the Hind and deploying of the suite of air-to-gun grounds that this aircraft can employ. We're at a remote airbase. Well, it's not really an airbase, it's a rotary wing station in Syria. We're going to go ahead and drop some ordnance on some encampments on a gunnery range. And yeah, we'll jump into it here. So, this is assuming you followed my, or another, but hopefully my startup tutorial for the Hind. So I'm not going to go into any startup housekeeping things, anything that I click outside of employing weapons. I'm not going to go over for the most part. So we're going to start down here on this central armament panel. This is for the most part where all of your armament control is done from the pilot seat. Currently the sight camera has no functionality, unfortunately, but that's fine. You know, it's early access, that's what we expect. This is our sight power switch. We'll turn that on. These would be to rearm the gun pods, but currently these are in op as well, so don't worry about these for now. Our machine gun burst length, I'm going to select long, and I'll explain why in just a second. And then, do we want automatic or manual ranging? I usually pick automatic, it works for the best for me, just because I can't figure out manual ranging. If you did want to do manual ranging, you would do that with this knob here. Go ahead and zero our sight. Fire control switch is the equivalent of like your master arm, so obviously we're going to want that on. And then your MG rate has to do with the speed at which your machine guns actually fire. So we're going to do a high rate, and that ties in with the machine gun burst that I said I would get back to in a bit. So, the idea when you're doing any kind of strafing of any kind, even outside of aircraft, is short controlled bursts of fire. But in those short controlled bursts, you want to put as many rounds accurately on target as possible. So I'm choosing the long burst length with the high rate of fire in the hopes of, in doing those short controlled bursts, I get as much fire on as I can. Now the nice thing about the long, medium, and short burst durations is it's not a pull of the trigger equals a short, medium, or long burst. It's a timer that limits what a single pull of the trigger will allow for ammunition expelled. So if I were to click short, you know, I would get, you know, I don't know the exact times, let's say a half of a second of ammo fire as long as I'm holding that trigger. If I select medium, you know, let's say I get 1 second of fire per trigger pull and hold. It's not, you know, tapping the trigger. If you tap the trigger, which is what I'm going to get to long for, if you tap the trigger and let go, it's only going to fire those bursts of shots. It's not a pull the trigger, short, medium, long. It's a pull and hold the trigger. In the short, it'll do a short burst. In medium, it'll do medium, and long, it'll do long. But as soon as you let go of that trigger, that gun stops firing. So that's why I like the long. It lets me control how long I'm firing, you know, manage my own recoil, that sort of deal. Anyway, moving on. This rotary knob here is what's going to let us select our outer stations. So we have, as you saw on the outside, 7.62 and 12.7 millimeter armaments. So we're going to go ahead and use that. And if we come up to our armament selection panel, you can see we have fixed machine gun, or fixed MG, illuminated. Additionally, we have a 30mm cannon on the nose of the aircraft. But for now, we're going to start out with our fixed machine guns. Coming up to our sight, you can see we have two sights currently overlaid. So if I decrease the brightness of this one, you can see that is our compensated sight versus our fixed sight. And that's a result of this automatic or manual toggle. So I'm actually going to decrease the brightness of our fixed sight just a little bit. I still want to be able to see it, but I'm not really going to be relying on that too much. So, doing a little housekeeping things. So then I set both of my light sources to the mains versus the backups. And then I'm going to set my sight mode into automatic. So it should automatically adjust for windage, my speed, that sort of deal. And then I'm actually going to come over to this little grab handle here and scroll the glass down just a little bit, just so I get a better gun cross picture going on. The synchronization switch would be for synchronizing your sight with the front pilot, with his sight here. We don't have a front pilot, so we're not going to worry about that today. And that is about it. So we'll go ahead and hop in the air here and see if we can't kill anyone. I do like how easy it is to taxi the Hind. It takes a little bit of getting used to initially, but with that swash plate being angled as far forward in the neutral position as it is, the helicopter really just kind of floats itself down the taxiway. I really dig that. I do think they did some improvements and changes since its initial release about a week ago. And I'm not gonna lie, this helo is starting to grow on me. Unfortunately for me, I did miss the discounts. I think it was a 30% pre-order and then 20% while the helo went live, and now it's up to its full price. As I said though, you know, I'm really excited for the AH-64. This is a great module, do not get me wrong, this module is fantastic. But the Apache, it has my heart. Let's see if I can't do a no-roll takeoff. So let's go outside, zoom around a little bit. Oh, that's a lot of it. Alright, here we go. Collective coming up. Come on, you big girl. There we go. Well, wasn't the best, but wasn't the worst. Say as we're careening out of control. Alright, away we go. You're coming up. I can actually see the... Sorry, I bumped my mic. I can actually see our gunnery range just out in the distance there, so... Shouldn't be too long. One thing that I didn't mention are those two lights at the base of my HUD. The green light indicates my weapons are ready to fire on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side there's a yellow light which is currently not illuminated. That is my... I forgot the actual term. Basically, it's my in-range light. It means that when I'm aiming where I'm aiming, my rounds will land where my crosshair is pointed, which is what we want. And that's kind of where some of that manual ranging comes into play. So if you wanted to, you know, lob some rounds at a distance where the computer can't calculate just because there's so many variations with windage and you get to a certain point, I'm sure the Coriolis effect comes into play. So, anyway, I digress. We are now at the gunnery range. Let's see if I can't find some soft targets to nail. I don't think we're going to do much to those bunkers, unfortunately. Not with our 7.62 rounds, at least. Alright, checking our coordination. We're in a pretty big skid right now. Let's light this guy up. Goodbye, frame rate. All of those were far. They're skipping like no one's business. Let's get a turnaround going. Realign on some other targets here. I also want to point out this is not necessarily a fault of the aircraft. I do also just suck at deploying munitions. An apt pilot would be able to do this no problem. There's hits on that. Let's get a turnaround going. We're going to switch to our 30mm cannon. Come around for some of those bunkers. See if we can't blow some up. Firing. Good hits. Now just for a show and tell, I will change my rate of fire to slow, just so you guys can see what that's like. I am having an issue with the gun sights. It's not giving me the info I'm expecting. Let me explain what I mean. So, this arrow here, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've read, this arrow here is supposed to be a slip skid indicator, very similar to what we have on our turn coordinator here. Now, you can see I'm pretty well coordinated, not perfect, a little bit to the left, but that doesn't line up with what I'm seeing here, because here we're almost always in a left-hand slip or skid, depending on what direction our relative wind is. So here, I will fly the aircraft extremely uncoordinated to the right, and you can see our turn coordinator saying, yeah, dude, you're really not coordinated, but that little arrow doesn't care. Doesn't seem to care. But, a lie, there we are, super uncoordinated flight. So, I don't know. It's also not quite ranging where I want it to go. So, I don't know. I don't think it's a synchronization issue with our front gunner, because again, we don't have a front gunner using his sight. But anyway, let me show you the slow rate of fire versus the fast rate of fire. So we'll just use our turn coordinator to let us know if we're coordinated or not, I suppose. Firing. So there's slow. A lot less recoil with slow, but a lot less rounds on target. So we're going to go back to the fast fire rate. We'll reselect those MGs on the outer pods. Right in the front door. Goodbye, frame rate. Oh, we're dead. Right. Well...
Springfield, forward 1. Cleared for startup. Wind 289 at 4 meters per second.
Alright, so I know I said we'd be focusing primarily on guns, but I figured we'd do a run with some of the heavy rockets here. See what we can do with those. Should be a similar idea for firing. It's just obviously going to be a lot more recoil to manage and a lot more delayed as far as your fire rate goes. Let's get our landing lights swung out here, and we will be underway. I don't know if the real landing light takes that long to swing in the Hind, but good God, does it take a while here. So same setup, we're going to go over it a little bit quicker. Gun camera, gun sight. Again, I like the long MG burst automatic for ranging, even though it seems to not be working right now. Fire control on, and a fast MG rate. I'm going to select rockets this time on our select weapon select station, turn our lamps to the mains, automatic, and we'll try the sync for the sight. I still don't know if it's going to work. Dim down our backup crosshair, bring our glass down just a bit. That should be that. Brakes off, roll us forward. Was that for a garbage takeoff, huh? Alright. Same idea. Turn in towards our gunnery range. Super uncoordinated as usual. I expect nothing less from myself. Let's see if we can't hit any of those encampments and get them to burn. See if we can't shack each one of those in a row. Holy cannoli. According to like the drunk girl at the bar. Just kidding, I'm too old for that shit now. Anyway. Let's get some rounds on target. One burning. back to the 30 mil. Oh yeah. Lots of fires. Just what I like. Stabilize, firing. Through the fire and the flames. So I don't know what happened to our inboard pods. They fell off like bombs. Why did they do that? Do not know. If I select, yeah, they just fell off like bombs. Okay, well. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this shorter tutorial. Nothing too crazy. Didn't really want it to be anything too crazy. Just a quick tutorial on the guns. It seems like there is some work in progress stuff that still needs to happen. So, we'll wait for that to sort itself out. But, you know, always keep in mind this is an early access game, and it's to be expected you're going to have early access issues. I would expect nothing less. It's still a fun helo to fly. It's still fun to deploy the munitions that do work the way you expect. And, you know, until they get everything ironed out, you know, use them the way that they're not supposed to. Right? Cool. Great. I will catch you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, take it easy. Don't know why I said it like that. Take it easy.